2 are automatic losses. Minnesota and New England, you should not beat them. Even though with Kirk Cousins, you just never know. But Dalvin Cook is behind that backfield. Let me tell you something right now, that brother's special. Minnesota a different team when they give him the ball. Their defense is stout, no doubt, but they're a different team when they give Dalvin Cook the ball, no doubt about it. But if you're the New York Giants, between Washington, Minnesota, New England, and Arizona, it would be an achievement if you're 500. It would be spectacular if you were 3-1. It would be otherworldly if you were 4-0. It's fairly predictable that the best case scenario is 1-3. I'd say 2-2. I think you could beat Washington and Arizona. And by the way, both of those are home games at MetLife Stadium. So I don't know. It's something to keep your eye on. It's something to watch. It's something to monitor. All those things are absolutely, positively true. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. That's one thing we need to keep our mind on. Here's the other. You know, I bring up Jalen Ramsey's name because I want to rehash some things about Tom Coughlin. You see, the news has come down that Jalen Ramsey now has a back issue. And because of that, even though he was scheduled to be at the team facility, he's not necessarily practicing. Doug Marrone in the press conference literally, not figuratively, not presumably, literally was laughing when the reporters were asking him about Jalen Ramsey's back. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? We know he's lying. Ain't no damn back injury. That's what they're trying to say. That's what they're trying to say, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I got news for you. I don't care if he is. If that's what you got to do to make sure that you get paid while waiting to get traded, so be it. The man made it very, very clear he doesn't want to play in Jacksonville anymore. He made it very, very clear he doesn't like being a player under the stewardship of Tom Coughlin's organization. He's made it very, very clear that he felt disrespected by Tom Coughlin, and he doesn't want to be there anymore. He doesn't have an issue with Coach Doug Marrone, regardless of their sideline spat. His issue is with Tom Coughlin. Now, there are those of you out there that might have a problem with a player flexing whatever figurative muscle he thinks he has. What I would say to you is, when it comes to the sport of football, would somebody tell me what choice do you have? Even though they say he doesn't care about the money, when you got Carson Wentz getting 107 in guarantees, and Jared Goff getting 110 in guarantees, and Ezekiel Elliott getting $50 million in guarantees, and a $90 to $100 million deal overall, and they were 3 of the top 4 picks in that 2016 draft, and number 5 in that draft also happens to be arguably the best corner in football in Jalen Ramsey, and he's only making $3.6 million. And he went to Jacksonville to potentially give him an extension beforehand, and they looked him in the face and told him, don't even think about it. And then you're losing 12 or 14 games. And you give Blake Bortles a contract extension. And then you go out and you give Nick Foles a contract extension after you realize what a huge mistake giving Bortles any money for. Bortles' deal was so bad, Jacksonville is paying $16.5 million just not to have him. So you have that going on. And you go and you pay Nick Foles, and he gets hurt game 1 of the season. Minshew has been a pleasant surprise. No question about it. Nobody saw it coming. But I would sit here and I would ask y'all to consider something that Jalen Ramsey actually deserves a lot of credit for. He actually deserves a lot of credit for this part. Jalen Ramsey announced a couple of weeks ago he wanted to get traded. He thought that they would trade him after last week's Thursday night encounter. So did almost everybody else, which is why our very own Adam Schefter went on Sunday's NFL Countdown and reported, or actually even before that, would get up and stuff like that during the week. He actually reported that there was a particular team that called the league office to inquire if we were to acquire Jalen Ramsey after Thursday, could he still play Sunday? And the NFL had to inform them, you're only allowed to play one game a week. That's how serious folks were about getting him. That's how serious the Jacksonville Jaguars evidently were about moving him. Jalen Ramsey could have sat out that game, that Thursday night game against Tennessee. He could have sat out that game. He could have refused to show up and practice or play. He could have done all of that. But considering the late notice and how things were going, what did Jalen Ramsey do? He still went out on that field for Thursday night's game and balled. He still showed up. Now, I'm not trying to act like there wasn't an obligation to some degree. You are getting paid. You are under contract. You are the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. What I'm saying is he could have screwed them over. He didn't do that. He did not do that. He showed up on the field, and balled, thinking it was going to be his last game as a Jacksonville Jaguar. This is the NFL. He easily could have got hurt. He could have suffered a season-ending injury. Remember what happened to Earl Thomas last year in Seattle? Remember why he looked over at Steve Carroll and threw up his middle finger? Remember that? Because he wanted his money. The Seahawks wouldn't pay him. He obviously felt Pete Carroll had a lot to do with that. They wanted him to step out on the field and play out his deal, and he got hurt. Season was over. So why is he giving the middle finger? You don't want to hear somebody talk about we care about you. We love you. We think about you. But kiss off. That's what he was saying. That's what the hell he was saying. Now give Tom Coughlin credit for this. Give Tom Coughlin credit for this. I can't imagine Tom Coughlin telling anybody he loves them. Not any of the players. I have no doubt he loves his children and his grandchildren and some of his contemporaries and his friends. But a player, Tom Coughlin telling a player, I love you, buddy. I can't see it. I didn't see him do that when he was sipping on some champagne when they won the Super Bowls. I can't imagine Tom Coughlin doing that. I can't see that. And I'm willing to bet my check. If he did do it for a player, it damn sure wasn't Jalen Ramsey. I'm willing to bet the house on that. So he don't have any love for Jalen. Jalen don't have any love for him. But Jalen still went out there and balled for his teammates and helped secure a win over a division rival. And as a result, it helped salvage somewhat Jacksonville's season thus far. Now you got owner Shad Khan involved, knowing what a stud Jalen Ramsey is. And he's like, I ain't trying to let this brother go. So I got to mend these fences. And who knows, ladies and gentlemen, it might involve letting Tom Coughlin go. I mean, after all, what's happened to Jacksonville? The AFC Championship game, true. Fell apart last year. We're falling apart this year. Can't find a quarterback. Then had your quarterback gets injured in game one. But you're looking at some of the other pieces around. The defensive players weren't the ones taken care of when they went to that AFC Championship game, when they had 6 Pro Bowlers. They weren't the ones being taken care of. It was folks on the offensive side of the ball being taken care of. So these are all the things that they're thinking about. And this has a lot to do with Jalen Ramsey's unwillingness to stay in Jacksonville any longer. We'll see how that pans out. My question is, who you siding with, Ramsey or Coughlin? What do you think Shad Khan, the owner, should do? Get rid of Jalen Ramsey and trade him, or get rid of Coughlin? These are the things. Because we remember Coughlin when he was with the Giants. If you 5 minutes early, you ain't 5 minutes early, you late. He was very rigid to the point where Michael Strahan, who loves everybody, didn't like him, at least at one point. Don't get me started with Plexico Burris and others felt. That was what was going on with Coughlin. So how are we to assume that things have changed? 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News Network, Straight Talk Wireless, everything for less, only at Walmart. We'll get to your calls in more in a minute. Don't touch that dial. You're listening live to Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, do you have frequent heartburn? Like the kind where you have antacids stashed everywhere in case it pops up? You know what I mean. You keep some in your bag or your desk or your car or your nightstand. You have those chocolate tablets ready for whenever and wherever heartburn strikes. Well, listen up. There's an easier way to deal with your heartburn. That's Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day will last a full 24 hours with zero heartburn. So kick your antacid habit. It's possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.